Ultra Ego Vegeta. Ultra Ego Vegeta is one of the best ideas Dragon Ball Super created, and it all started with Majin Vegeta. First, let's go over the narrative and lore significance, and then we'll go over the design and abilities of the form. In the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, we meet our first Saiyan other than Goku, Raditz, Goku's older brother. And with Raditz's introduction comes a ton of new lore, power scaling, and story directions for Dragon Ball. But setting all that aside, Raditz shows you right away the nature of Saiyans. Overconfident, cold-hearted, battle-hungry, and vicious. The fact that Raditz was so quick to kill his brother and abduct his nephew shows how cruel the Saiyans are. However, we didn't know how the Saiyans treated each other, only that they seemed to have enough respect for a fellow fallen warrior to avenge them. So while they're ruthless to others, perhaps they have respect for each other. However, we see they don't really seem to care much about Raditz. They just want to obtain the Dragon Ball so they can gain immortality. But perhaps the other Saiyans care about each other. After all, Raditz did just embarrass their entire race by losing to a few weak Earthlings. We then eventually see Nappa and Vegeta arrive on Earth, and from their initial appearance, we can see that Nappa clearly looks up to Vegeta as a leader, and maybe even a little bit as a friend. We see after Nappa blows up a city that Vegeta scolds him. Nappa apologizes sincerely, and Vegeta just seems to let it go, so we can still believe that perhaps there's some connection between Saiyan warriors. Fast forward to after Nappa is beaten by Goku. He asks Vegeta for help, to which Vegeta responds with what seems to be compliance to his request. That is until Vegeta throws Nappa, his loyal companion, into the air and completely vaporizes him while laughing. From the beginning, we see how irredeemable Vegeta is, or at least how irredeemable he seems. And after Goku tells Krillin to spare his life, Vegeta only wants to come back for vengeance. Skip to the Namek Saga. Vegeta once again only wants to reclaim vengeance while also obtaining immortality from the Dragon Balls. We see him destroy cities to get what he wants. He's as heartless as ever. Then the story progresses and Vegeta is forced to work with the Z-Fighters for his own survival. And we can see that, surprisingly, Vegeta's interacting with Gohan and Krillin in a decently mannered way, though the audience can just brush it off as he needs them. But then, when we get to the scene where Frieza kills him, we see this Saiyan, who seems to be so pure of evil, cry, beg Goku to finish off Frieza, to avenge his family, and then says that Frieza made him the way he is. The audience now feels sympathy for Vegeta for the first time, thinking he maybe wasn't fully responsible for his ways. That is until the Cell Saga, where he shows that although he's not actively being destructive towards Earth, he's still the same vicious and evil Saiyan he was, and doesn't regret any of his actions. We see the iconic scene where he's willing to sacrifice the safety of the world for a battle with Cell. He even lets Bulma and Trunks be killed, which they would have been if not for future Trunks. Now personally, I think Vegeta would have stepped in if he didn't know future Trunks was there, but still, he showed no care for his own family. And later in the time chamber, he still showed no care for future Trunks, until the scene where Perfect Cell kills Trunks. We see Vegeta finally show care for someone else, even apologize to Gohan for ruining their chance to stop Cell. Now we can safely say after this arc, Vegeta has finally become a better person. And moving on to the Buu Saga, we can see he has changed. He's living with Bulma and Trunks, even going so far as to train him, leading to the Super Saiyan bargain sale scene where he goes as far as to say he'll take Trunks to the park. We can finally say he's straightened up, which leads to Majin Vegeta. From the first time we see Vegeta in the Buu Saga, it's clearly established that he has resentment towards Gohan's lack of training. Like he can't stomach the fact that someone born with more innate power than him, someone who has dared to surpass him, would just let all that power go to waste. It's clear that Vegeta still has that over-excessive pride or ego, but that's only natural. We even see him go to help with the new threat of Buu, but in reality, he seems to have zero interest in stopping Majin Buu. He just wants to fight Kakarot. He just wants to repair his ego. And that culminates when Dabura notices the egotistical nature, an inherently destructive nature. So Babidi fuels off that ego to corrupt Vegeta, and it seems to work. Vegeta, now transformed into Majin Vegeta, quickly shows his intentions by destroying the stadium filled with people. But this couldn't truly be him. He's under Babidi's spell. Until the revelation that Vegeta let Babidi use his spell. He let himself be a vicious destroyer, all fueled by his precious ego. He then further admits to allowing himself to be influenced by Babidi for the purpose of getting his power increases to match Goku, and more importantly, so he can go back to the vicious, heartless Saiyan he was. So perhaps Vegeta never changed. But Goku, and I'm sure most viewers, don't buy it. Vegeta has spent too much time away from that life. He has changed. And we see Goku was right. Vegeta ultimately sacrifices himself to save everyone. He has grown as a character, and Dragon Ball Super keeps that growth. He isn't shown doing any evil. He has become what he's always feared, a sympathetic Saiyan, one who cares for others. I love the moment in the Moro arc where we see him save Eska and declare he's done enough damage to the Namekians. and later when he asks the Elder about how he feels about him, as a way to remember the bad he's done and the lives he's ruined. He then asks Goku to make restoring new Namek his top priority. Later in Super, Vegeta trains with Beerus. Here we see the new character Vegeta has grown into, specifically his new mindset. He says that the Saiyans deserve their fate, like Goku said back on Namek to Frieza. He feels guilt for the terrible things the Saiyans have done, but Beerus disagrees. He says that mindset is foolish. He reveals that he gave Frieza the permission to destroy Planet Vegeta, that blaming fate is naive. He then tells Vegeta some advice, to let go of all that guilt, to remember a simple fact. Before creation comes destruction. That the destruction of the Saiyan race is the past. Now Vegeta needs to create his own path, one without the binds of guilt and noble fear. And in the fight with Granola, we finally see that come to fruition. Vegeta leans back into that destructive ego he left behind, the same one that fought by the Saiyan Saga, Frieza Saga, Cell Saga, and most importantly, by Majin Vegeta in the Buu Saga. He leans back into that battle-hungry side of him, the precious ego. But his character doesn't regress. He did need a bit of time to differentiate the ego and evil in him, for he did go a little bit too far when he attacked Goku, but he figures that out quick. Now Vegeta can retain the battle-hungry vicious side of him without regressing into a villain. A brilliant way to push him into his own direction. After Ultra Instinct was introduced, Vegeta needed to find his own path. As he said himself, Ultra Instinct doesn't suit him. I feel Blue Evolution was a bit of a cheap way to catch him up for now, not a new path for him to go down. Don't get me wrong, I love Super Saiyan Blue. I literally just made a whole video on why it's a great form. But Super Saiyan Blue Evolution didn't feel like the next step. But Ultra Ego definitely fills that role, which leads me to its design. The purple hair looks great on Vegeta, especially with the lore significance of it being tied to the Destroyers. I also love how the back of his hair looks. Gives me a similar vibe to the Super Saiyan 4 hair, but in my opinion looks even better. The lack of eyebrows go right at home on Vegeta, giving him an even more intimidating look. I also love the earring of destruction Beerus gave him. It adds a very unique touch to the form. And then there's the facial expressions and that veiny look. It's all very reminiscent of Majin Vegeta in the best way possible, giving Vegeta a truly terrifying look, which is only enhanced by the abilities of Ultra Ego. The form leans fully into the battle-hungry vicious Saiyan instincts, mirroring Ultra Instinct's instincts and powers. Whereas Ultra Instinct focuses on dodging and utilizing power efficiently, Ultra Ego focuses on taking hits head-on to boost the user's battle lust, resulting in immediate power growth. Also very reminiscent of Majin enhancements, as we see a similar constant recovery and growth from damage from Spopovich. Even the fighting style reflects Majin Vegeta, with the vicious animalistic fighting style, like the aggressive head slamming, plus the destructive nature of the literal technique of destruction, Hakai, also feeding those themes while looking awesome in the process. So hopefully I conveyed the brilliance of Ultra Ego, taking from Vegeta's past without regression. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'm very proud of how the script came out, especially since I came up with it in about an hour. I'm very excited for seeing how the anime adapts Ultra Ego, now that we know the Moro arc is being animated. I hope it'll live up to my expectations and then some. I also wanted to say, if you want to have a discussion with me about the topics in this video, then leave a comment. I try to respond to everyone as soon as I can, and I love having discussions about stuff like this. And please subscribe. My channel is very new and I'd love to keep on going. So if you could please help me get to 1,000 subscribers, I'd really appreciate it. And also leaving a like can really help. So thanks again, and I'll see ya.